So now we've come to chapter 29, leadership and decision making in groups. So we have talked about communication in groups, and now we're going to talk specifically about leadership. So one thing you're going to think about is who is the leader in your LCP group, and do you want to have a leader or do you not have a leader, and why do you think that is? Why do you think the person who was elected as the leader is that? And why do you think there is no leader in your group? What is it about this person that makes them a leader? And why do you want to be the leader if you are the leader? Why did you want it or did you not want it? How'd you end up? So kind of think about all of those questions and feel free to post about that in the discussion board whenever you go through choosing a leader in your LCP group. And so also, as we're talking about this, I want you to think about leadership and decision making. And how do these relate? Does the leader make all the decisions? Does it not have to be that way? So we're just going to discuss that right now. Now, I think a lot of people might say, well, leadership and decision making, the thing is a leader is direct and the leader has very clear influence over other people. That is a very simple definition of leadership. And unfortunately, leadership is not that easy. I mean, many of you have probably been in a group or in a class where you did not like the leader or the professor. So hopefully that professor is not me. I wanted to start talking about leadership as where power comes from, because leaders are people who have power, they exert power, and power can be very different. The type of power that a leader has. It can be legitimate power, so power that has been appointed to this person. So, for example, I have been appointed as a teacher, so I have that type of power. Power can be coercive, so it can be coming from the ability to harm. I could be an appointed legitimate leader, but I could also have coercive power as well at the same time, like the power to hurt your grade, the power to hurt you somehow, in this case, hurt your grade. That's the kind of coercive power that a leader can have. You can have more than one. There's also the reward power that a leader can have. Um, Reward power is something that I also have, like such as giving you good grades, right? Then there is the expert. So you can have power from being the expert, from having the most knowledge about something. So for example, in your digital video project, as part of as part of your LCP project, you will probably have one person who's like, I'm an expert, and they will be like the self-appointed leader on the video because they have the most knowledge on how to make videos or how to edit them, etc. And then lastly, we also have the referent. The referent power is the power that a leader has from being loved and admired by many. So celebrities are a good example of that. So as you can see, there are different types of powers that make someone a leader, and sometimes one leader can have many different powers at play. So I encourage you to think about what types of power do you think you have as a leader in your group or just in general in other group experiences you've had. And then let's start thinking about the idea of shared leadership as well, and maybe how your group can follow that. So if certain people have expertise on the video digital stuff and other people have expertise on making slideshows, then perhaps there becomes some shared leadership. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that. So different leadership styles. We've talked about the different types of power that come make you a leader or come with being a leader, etc. There's also different ways to lead. I mean, you can have shared leadership where different people lead together, but either way, whoever is the leader, whether it's whichever leader it is, has their own type of style. So you could have the directive style of leading, which is useful for people when they don't really know what to do. And so you just kind of tell people what to do, and that's pretty good. Then you have the supportive leadership. So that's kind of good for people when they need someone to be supporting them. Maybe they're frustrated about the tasks they have to be doing, or it's a difficult situation. So maybe a supportive leader will be very effective there, the supportive style of leading. Then you have the participative. So that's kind of going back to shared leadership. Maybe it's a leader that invites a lot of participation, wants to hear your opinions. Then you have the laissez-faire leadership style, which is very hands-off, um, kind of allowing the students to work on their own, or not necessarily students, just whoever in the group. And then you have the achievement-oriented leader, which is also all about goals and making sure that they are achieved. And so the difference between the directive and the achievement-oriented leadership styles is that the directive leadership style is a lot more, has a lot less to do with goals as much as it maybe has to do with tasks. It's the kind of leader that will be more controlling slash directive, giving directions and instructions. And the achievement oriented may be less directive or instructive, but more focused on achieving the goal. So that is kind of the difference. It's a little slight, and once again, these can all be combined. It's not as clear cut in the real world. And so leaders usually have different qualities that they possess, and those are vision, charisma, and initiative. And so I wanted you guys to think about, do you possess any of these qualities? Do you have a vision for the group or for the world or for life? Do you have a vision for the rest of the semester? Do you like to share that vision? Do you feel like it's an important one? Do you feel like you have charisma? Do you feel like you kind of, people listen to you? And do you have initiative? Are you this person that instantly says, okay, this is what we're gonna do, starts working on things right away? So kind of going back to the previous chapter, talking about the theory of group development, where people go through an inactive period of procrastination before they start working. Are you the one who starts to initiate things when the time is right? Are you that person? Do you have that initiative? So think about it and let me know in the group discussion, what other qualities do you think are important for a leader to possess besides the ones that we've talked about here? And on page 498, you can actually quiz yourself to see what type of leader you are. Like I said, people are not usually just one type of leader, but you can do that quiz if you're interested. So we have talked about the different leadership styles that you can have, the qualities that make you a leader, and the way that the power that comes with being a leader, or the power that could make you a leader. Now, it's also important, just like we did in the previous chapter, to think about culture, because culture is present in everything. And it's whenever you're located in one place where there is a majority of people of one type of culture, then it's easy to forget that this one culture is not necessarily better or the norm. It's just one culture, and there are many others out there. So it's important to think about certain things such as high context and low context. And essentially what that means is that certain cultures are much more comfortable with there being a type of hierarchy. So with more directive leaders that tell people what to do, and other cultures which are low context are much more comfortable with people being more of a shared leadership within the group, more participative. So low context is much more present in American group communication and leadership. So these are the things that you would want to think about when you are working in groups, not just in this group, but in the future as well, whenever you're working with people. Think about, okay, what is normal for them? Are they not speaking up because they're not used to it and they would like instructions? And maybe just openly discussing, okay, what are your preferences? How do you communicate? Would get you a foot up whenever you're trying to have leadership and group communication. So in this assignment, I really encourage you all to participate and communicate with each other about your cultures and viewpoints, and really be respectful of them. And not everybody wants to or has to be the leader. Let's just see what each person is more comfortable with and try to work for the shared goals for the maximum effectiveness of your group. But please be careful not to fall prey to groupthink. And if you don't know what that is, it's in your book on on page 505. And groupthink is essentially when people start to value and put a lot of importance into harmony, which is great, but then that leads them to stop thinking critically and stop voicing concerns. And groupthink has led to a lot of different issues throughout time, when it can even lead to serious things, not just as a bad grade, but even deaths. When you are in a group, being in control of something like, say, a plane, groupthink can be a really big problem. It's important to not put harmony over critical thinking and analyzing things, especially when things like your grade or lives are at stake. So please be careful to not fall prey to that. Figure out who you want to be the leader, talk about it, discuss this chapter, look at the tables, and hopefully that will be very helpful to you. And so here I also kind of gave you this little agenda. As I mentioned earlier, it's good to have somebody who's going to be kind of responsible each time to make sure to write down everything that you do as a group that you decide on for that day. That person can and probably should rotate. But here is a little agenda for you if you would like to use it in each time you meet. Identify the problem, analyze the problem, generate solutions, evaluate and choose a solution, implement the solution, assess the results. So you can have one person who is recording everything, and then you can have another person who is going to be responsible to make sure that these are the things that you go through in your conversations, and that you don't miss out on implementing the solution, for example, and you don't end the conversation just at brainstorming. So hopefully, these 2 chapters have given you enough information for your group communication to go great. I think that it's going to be wonderful. The only thing you need to do is make sure to avoid that inactivity period as much as you can, especially now that you're aware of it. If you have any questions, once again, let me know, post in the discussion board, and I will see you next week. I feel like a YouTube blogger or something.